Hi, I'm Josh Vogel. This is Angie Vogel. We're here for the Footlock report this month. So I thought I would backtrack a little bit, and we've done a few issues on footlocks and attacking the legs and all that kind of stuff. And I only gave a very basic idea of how to defend and escape footlock. So I thought I would go back and make one, maybe two issues devoted to that subject. So the first thing, this is true for any submission or any position. For you to defend something, the person that's attacking you or controlling you has to follow a certain amount of steps to make an attack happen. And so let's say there's 4 steps in a footlock. There's step 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe there's 5 or 7 depending on whatever footlock it is. Usually the idea is that if you can stop any of those steps from happening, then you can at least slow down the footlock or the armbar or the kimura or whatever. So, and then some steps are more important than others. So if you stop step number 3, you might shut the whole thing down. If you stop step number 1, you might just slow it down. So different steps matter more than others. But the basic theory is that if I'm going to grab your leg, so let me get your leg. So let's say I'm here and I do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and then if I want to finish an ankle lock, step 6, step 7, step 8, step 9, step 10, right? If she can stop step number 1, then I don't have an ankle lock. If I get to step number 2 and she can stop step number 3, then I can't finish the ankle lock either. So the general idea is that if you want to stop something, if you want to escape something, if you want to defend something, obviously you have to stop some of the steps from happening. If you can stop the early steps from happening, that's better. So if you can dodge a punch while it's starting here, then I'm not going to hit you. If she dodges a punch here, it'll still miss. Now dodge. She has less time to defend and to dodge. So it's the same thing with this. If I can escape a footlock before it really starts, that's the best thing. If I can stop a footlock halfway through, then I still have a chance of getting out. If I try to stop a footlock that's already sunk in pretty deep, then it's going to take a lot more work because the hole is dug pretty deep that I have to dig myself out of. And it becomes much harder, and the window of opportunity gets shorter and shorter. So ideally, stop it before it starts. Stop it as early as possible. If you can't stop it early and it gets to the late stages, that's when you start having to do things like grip fighting to buy yourself time to dig yourself out of that hole. So it becomes more about making time so that you can start to escape rather than any clear escapes. So for footlock specifically, the basic idea for escaping is that pretty much all leg attacks and a great deal of submissions in general rely on a grip and 2 clamps. So if I have her leg, for me to get anything going, I gotta have some kind of grip to hold on to her leg so that she doesn't get away from me. If I try to footlock her like this, I can't get her leg in place. So I have to grip it first to pull it into place. And then number 2 is I have to have a second clamp, or a first clamp, sorry, clamp number 1, which is my thigh squeezing. And then clamp number 2 is what usually either controls or breaks the leg. Clamp number 2 can be a finish, or it can just be a further control position. So I could have clamp 1 and clamp 2. The most important part is the grip and clamp 1. So if she can stop me from footlocking her at the grip, then I can't footlock. If she can bust out a clamp number 2, or clamp number 1, sorry, so through your leg over, I can't finish the footlock like this either. So the way the clamp works is if you had a bottle of soda and you wanted to twist the cap off a bottle of soda, you would have to hold the bottle and twist. Just like if I have this cup of coffee and I wanted to pull the lid off the coffee, if I try to do it like this, the whole thing moves all over the place. Right? But if I want to take the lid off the coffee, I have to clamp before I apply the leverage to break the lid off. Same thing with a foot. I have to be able to hold the bottle of soda or the coffee with my thighs and my legs clamping before I twist the cap off. Or I have to clamp before I start to peel the lid off, right? So it's always some kind of grip that gets you into clamp number 1, which then leads to clamp number 2, which can be either control or finish. So if you want to break apart a footlock or an armbar or a kimura or a guillotine, if you break apart the grip, break apart clamp number 1, then clamp number 2 doesn't really have any effectiveness. And if you can't break either of those, then you have to break clamp number 2. So grip, clamp 1, clamp 2. And then I'll show you some practical examples of that next.